Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure having this talk with you today, and we're going to talk about World War I and how it affects us and our country, France, as the country we will be talking about and representing. Can someone explain it to me a little bit because I'm a bit confused?
Yes, of course. To get you in context, this was an international conflict with most of the nations of Europe, along with Russia, the United States, the Middle East, and other regions, and this is just the beginning.
Wow, and how did it affect France?
Well, it all started with a Serbian nationalist terrorist group called the Black Hand, sent groups to assassinate the Archduke. It all began after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand on June 28 in 1914. And it all began that way and probably was the main cause. But there is more.
I'm sorry, but how is it called?
World War I is also called First World War or Great War.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can also tell you that it began on 28th of July 1914 and ended on November 11, 1980. 4 years of war, imagine that. But Anor will tell you more about this. He is an expert because he was also a soldier in World War I.
Oh my god, that's a lot. Anor, can you tell me more?
Sure. Well, war broke out in Europe in the summer of 1914. In my experience of the war, it's a terrible way of living because sadly a lot of my friends died and most of the days I was starving.
I'm so sorry. I thought people some of the days had fun and great experiences. But do you know the powers that were involved?
There were many powers involved in the war. There were two sides, the Central Powers and the Allies. With the Central Powers were led by Germany and Austria-Hungary, and the Allied countries by us, France, Britain, Russia, and others. We were involved in war on August 3rd of that same year.
But does someone know how did France get involved in the Great War?
I know. Our country decided to get involved into the war when Germany declared being war.
And how were soldiers recruited or called in France?
The recruiting of us was entirely carried out by the civil functionaries. The soldiers were recruited throughout conscription. Every young man between the age of 20 and 25 was eligible to be called up, and the process was done through the drawing of lots.
Wow, that's super interesting. But does someone know which was the outcome of the country?
Frenchmen mobilized 1.3 million had been killed and almost 1 million crippled. Large part of northeastern France, the nation's most advanced industrial and agricultural area, were devastated.
Oh, okay, so that leads us to the end of the war, doesn't it?
Yes, the war was officially ended by the Treaty of Versailles, which was signed on June 28, 1919. The main authors of the treaty were the leaders of France, England, Italy, and the US.
Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure having you, and I hope that we will meet again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.